Hello and welcome. So given the compound fraction, let's reduce it into a single simplified fraction. Now when we're looking at this, the goal is to combine everything into one fraction. You should have like number over number as a final answer. That is our goal. All right, so when I'm looking at this, the first thing I'm going to do is we could do this a couple of ways. What I would find probably is the easiest to do is I would recommend combining these together. Right, and combining these together. Okay, so to do that, we need a common denominator to add fractions together. So I'd say, all right, what's the least common denominator or least common multiple between 3 and 5? Well, that would have to be 15 for this one. So looking at that, I'd say, all right, so I'd have to multiply 3 by 5 to get to 15. And what you do to the bottom of the fraction, you do to the top. Because notice 5 over 5 is 1. You're not changing the value of the fraction as you get a common denominator. It's going to look different, but it's not arithmetically a different value. All right, same thing with the 2/5. I'm going to multiply that by 3 over 3 in order to make that a common denominator. All right, so let's write this down on the next line. So we have 5 times 14, which I believe is 70. So we have 70 over 15 plus 2 times 3 is 6 over 15, right? And now those are a common denominator, which means you have 76 over 15, right? Remember, as you add fractions, denominators do not change, all right? Now, that is your numerator of the fraction. We have 76 over 15, yay. Okay, now denominator, same idea where I'd say, okay, we have 5 and a 6. The least common multiple between 5 and 6 is going to be 30. So you can times 5 by 6 in order to get to 30. What you do to the bottom, do to the top. And likewise, 6 times 5 is going to also get us 30. So on the left, we now have 6 times 1, which is 6 over 30, plus 13 times 5, which will give us, 65 over 30, right? Likewise, now we have a common denominator, so our numerators can just add. 65 plus 6 is 71. And then from there, that's 71 over 30, and there we go. Now, the very last step is to say, okay, we have fraction divided by a fraction. When you're dividing by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal, and reciprocal just means flip. So I'm looking at this and I'd say, okay, in order to finish simplifying this, we're dividing by 71/30ths, right? And the fraction you divide by is the fraction we flip, so that means it'll be 30 over 71, right? Now you could multiply those straight together. What I would recommend, since we're doing this without a calculator, is I would say, okay, now I would look for common numbers between my numerators and my denominators, right? Remember, because it's multiplication, we can simplify diagonally like that because that's still a numerator to denominator. And I'd say, okay, 30 and 15, those have a common number, right? 30 divided by 15 is 2. 15 is a common number, so 15 goes into itself once, and a 30 twice. Now, 76 and 71, I'm not seeing anything that can simplify there. I believe one of those is actually a prime. Not 76, that's not prime, right? So then from there, I'd say, okay, well, if those don't simplify, then we can just combine those together, and we'll be able to go from there. So 76 times 2, so 7 times 2 is 14, 12 times 2 is 12, so that should be 156. And then from there, we want to have 1 times 71, which is, just made a mistake. Not 156, it's 152. Because 6 times 2 is 12, not 16. So awkward. It's fine. We caught it. And then 1 times 71 is 71. And there you go. Right? There is nothing here that combines. 71 times 2 is 142, right? So it's just barely off. There's nothing that we can really do here. So that is as simplified as it gets, apologies, and we're good to go. All right, so put it in our answer box, and we get 152 over 71. Single fraction is simplified, and you have combined a compound fraction. Thanks for watching.